Hello, guys and gals. Me, Mudahar, and boy, Muda, I thought you said you weren't going to talk about the Epstein stuff unless something wilder came out. Well, it turns out, yes, a lot more wilder stuff came out, ladies and gentlemen. Here's our boy dressed up like an actual home robber, but there's more context to this. Where did I get this image from, you might be wondering? Well, in the last day, out of nowhere, the estate of Jeffrey Epstein released a 50th birthday collage that was made to honor this, convicted sex trafficker right here. Now, there's a lot of quotes from interesting parties here, but I kind of want to go into this because, again, it just gets wilder. I feel like this is the one thing where people are genuinely pressing the U.S. government about right now for transparency, as they rightfully should. And it's one of the only times where I feel like people are kind of getting close to some semblance of justice, especially against a group of elites that are willing to harm the most, marginalized in our society, right? Children, women, men, people who are trafficked to begin with. Now, obviously, I've made several videos on this, but this is actually insane. So to give you an idea of why we're kind of talking about this, well, I want to say like about a month ago, there was an actual post by the Wall Street Journal. There was apparently letters that a lot of Epstein's friends wrote to him on a 50th birthday album. Now, I wasn't going to talk about this because ultimately it's just like one article and a quote. And at the time, even the president was like, it's not me. This is a fake thing. It's a fake Wall Street Journal story. It's fake news. All of it's fake news. It's fake news. So obviously the reason I'm talking about it today is because it's not fake news, ladies and gentlemen. Inside this comes a letter that people can now read that is actually provided by the House Oversight Committee. So if you want to read this for yourself, which again, I highly recommend you go out of your way to search for, you can go to the House Oversight Committee and read this. So right here, published September 8, 2025, the House, Oversight Committee released, again, more documentation based on a, actual subpoena. So they released records provided by the estate of Epstein pursuant to James Comer's, Republican from Kentucky, subpoena issued on August 25th, 2025. So it's appalling Democrats on the Oversight Committee are cherry-picking documents, and I actually do agree. There should be no cherry-picking. There really aren't any sides. I don't care about left, right. I always have reminded you watching that this is literally just the elite at the top. Generally, I look at any politician, anybody that is at the top, to be kind of in bed with each other, okay? It really doesn't matter what their values are or what they claim their values are. Usually the ones at the top who are so scared of this come from all angles. And I'm one of those people where even though that obviously everyone has a specific side, I want to watch all the bad people burn, right? Simple as that. So how Oversight Committee Republicans are focused on running a thorough investigation to bring transparency and accountability for survivors of Epstein's heinous crimes and the American people. Trump is not accused of any wrongdoing, and Democrats are ignoring the new info that the committee received today. So they provided the actual documentation right here. So they also obtained information about the bank accounts, and the committee will pursue these bank records. So again, it seems like, I don't want to be too hopeful, but goddamn, it seems like maybe something's happening. So anyways, this book, this quote that Trump said, it's fake news, all of it's fake news. It came out that, this is the image right here from the book. Now, it's got the sort of shape of a human body. I don't know if it's it's clearly missing arms, okay? But, they've drawn, of course, the moobs or the boobs or whatever the fuck is going on. Voiceover, there must be more to life than having everything. Donald, yes, there is, but I won't tell you what it is. Jeffrey, nor will I, since I also know what it is. Donald, we have certain things in common, Jeffrey. Which is not the kind of things you want to be saying when somebody has been verifiably convicted of trafficking children. Jeffrey, yes, we do, come to think of it. Donald, enigmas never age. Have you noticed that? Jeffrey, as a matter of fact, it was clear to me the last time I saw you. And Donald goes, a pal is a wonderful thing. Happy birthday. And may every day be another wonderful secret. Donald J. Trump. And of course, people have been questioning if this is his signature, which, I have as well too, but a signature is a signature. It's not always perfect. But the thing is, the House Oversight Committee released this. They released this information from a 50th year, again, Epstein's 50th year birthday book, which it's just weird to have read all these things. Again, I don't understand why may every day be another wonderful secret. I don't understand why, if you're clearly friends with somebody at the time of this publication, why? What is the secret here? Now again, to go back to the first image from this book I showed you, obviously there is a lot. In fact, there is 238 pages. Now, when you look up the information that is provided here by the House Oversight Committee, there's actually several documentations. So for instance, you've got request number 1, which is the book. You've got request number 2, 4, and 8. So to give you a quick idea of what request number 2 is, this is the last will and testament of Jeffrey Epstein. So if you want to read through this, you absolutely can. Request number 4 is a non-prosecution agreement. It appears that the City of Palm Beach Police Department and the State Attorney's Office have conducted an investigation into the conduct of Jeffrey Epstein. It appearing that the State Attorney Office has charged Epstein by indictment with solicitation of prostitution. This is like the original kind of arrest. Around the time when I was telling you guys about the cushiony deal that he got with his stay, he did not stay like a regular prisoner back in Palm Beach. He got elevated privileges that honestly, given the offense that he had, shouldn't have been possible. But again, when you're rich and powerful, you can get away with doing things that the average Andy probably won't ever get to do. So again, to go to the final request over here, this is Exhibit 10, Part 2, which obviously is reminiscent of the Little Black Book. In the page Friends, where this image came out of, finally, at the home of our friend, let's call him Mr. Brown, Jeffrey unveiled his plan. To some it may seem like a get-rich-quick scheme, but to me it was pure genius. Rob and kill was the name of the plan. The first victim, that's redacted, to be attacked and brutally plundered. On the boardwalk in Venice Beach, broad daylight, the dastardly thieves were never caught. It's just crazy to me to see what like billionaires get up to doing. Like this is just, bro, just go home and jerk off and play some fucking Final Fantasy VII, dude. What is this shit? Now, of course, obviously one of the creepiest images that I'm sure some of you guys have seen floating around is actually right here. So in part of this book, in part of his 50th birthday, there's a lot of animal penises. There's a lot of sexual encounters that obviously I'm blocking out. But to give you an idea, there's a lot of animal mating that's happening. I don't know why he has images of zebras and lions getting fucked in the ass, but he does. So of course, to go down to one of the creepiest images that I saw was right here. So for instance, this guy is giving out like, balloons and shit to these 3 little girls in 1983. And of course, in 2003, those girls have now aged enough, it seems, or whatever the fuck is going on. At least that's what it kind of seems. And he's getting like foot massages, chest massages, neck rubs. So I don't know what's going on near his groin area, but surely, given what we know about the guy, it can't entirely be legal. I don't know why this man would include, why this image would be thrown in. Like, again, the only implication that I'm getting is not a good one, okay? Especially knowing the context of who this guy is. And of course, there's a lot of redacted images in this of like former girlfriends and just women in general. It's weird. Now, I don't want to just be the only person that puts Trump into the fucking like limelight, okay? I want to say that there's other people. Bill Clinton, for instance, is also in this book. And he writes something that is a little bit illegible to read. But again, the actual thing that, Bill Clinton wrote was this. It's reassuring, isn't it, to have lasted so long, across all the years of learning and knowing adventures, and still have your childlike curiosity, the drive to make a difference, and the solace of friends. Again, given what we know about Bill Clinton even, it's just fucking weird, okay? Simple as that. And to be honest with you, I feel like a lot of older people, a lot of people at the top, just have this weird connection to children. Like, that, I guess at least is like somebody looking at this as from the sideshow. Somebody that's like looking at this outside of being an American, just looks at things as what they are. It's just a weird, weird world to be in. I mean, we live in a weird scenario where these kind of things are being released to the public. I mean, obviously I'm not against this being released to the public because it's transparency. It's something that's out there. And as, much as I would sit here and probably say like, at this point, disclosure has taken so long that who knows, maybe things could be planted in this, maybe things can't be. But I like to at least believe, and maybe it's childlike naivete, okay, that because this is released underneath an oversight committee, that both these parties are at least ensuring that these are untampered documents. The fact that this has come out now because of a subpoena and a lot of the things that, Donald Trump even said was fake news didn't at least appear to be fake news. In fact, even other politicians around here write things like, those Dems don't care about Epstein. They don't even care about his victims. They were silent about it for years, which is, I would say, pretty true. There was a lot of chances that both of these sides had an opportunity to release this information and really give justice to these victims, who some of them are still fearing for their fucking life. They're still fearing for what could happen. Because if you cross somebody powerful, if you cross somebody with billions of dollars, okay, it's not outlandish to think they have the money to make you truly just disappear, okay? No police is going to look into you. You're gone. If you can absolutely topple the fabric of power that these people have, they will try to fucking shut you down. So the only thing they care about is concocting another fake scandal like Russiagate to smear President Trump with lies. No one is falling for this bullshit, which is true. I don't think anybody should fall for any bullshit, which is why transparency and release of this documentation is good. Now, I get that he's like the VP and you kind of have to be with your boy at that moment in time. But, from everything I read about like a guy like J.D. Vance, it seems like he grew up pretty poor. He's a guy that went to the Marine Corps. It really is a rags to riches kind of story, right? Like he went from, fucking hanging out with Meemaw and Peepaw all the way to being the VP of one of the biggest countries, one of the most powerful nations on the planet. I mean, that is no small thing. I genuinely do think at a core, there is probably some conviction of this guy that, exists, right? But to see the fact that like he's still defending it, like, bro, this is not going to help your chances in the future for becoming president of the United States, which is, from my understanding, the goal of being the VP to begin with. And the other thing is, look, if we really care about justice, especially justice towards children, it's time to really think critically about this, okay? Look, I don't care what side you're on. I just think that a government should not be run or should have any traces of people that have harmed children, okay? And that's not even like a hot take. That's just like everyone in the world should, in theory, be able to come together and agree on that one salient fact. I feel like times have changed since like 2016 when all of this shit began. Before that, I feel like most of the world was kind of boring in regards to this stuff, but we're just on this everlasting roller coaster where inertia just continues to keep going and the outlandish absurdity of life just keeps evolving. It's funny, you play like video games like Grand Theft Auto and you look at a parody version of the United States. And now, for me, I'm not just excited to play GTA 6 because of the gameplay, I'm just excited to see how you parody a world that is a parody of itself at this point. It's fucking insanity. And of course, people still try to both sides of this. Look, guys like Clinton, guys like Trump, guys like Biden, guys like any of these people, okay? Any of these individuals, I always question. And when these people are in the 50th birthday book, and some of them, despite claiming fake news, just makes me think more and more. And he calls it a dead issue. And in fact, the press secretary, who might as well be equivalent to like the North Korean, like, they have the anchor woman in North Korea that just like fucking spouts all the shit for dear leader. She's like, as I've said all along, it's very clear Donald Trump did not draw this picture and he did not sign it. Trump's legal team will continue to aggressively pursue litigation. We live in fucking clown world, man. God damn. And again, people will say, oh, you're just deranged on the guy. I mean, like, listen, call a man deranged. But at this point, I like to at least tell my audience to think fucking critically, okay? Look, I've covered a lot of horrific shit on my channel. I've covered a lot of horrific stuff. So this is not out of my wheelhouse. Me commenting on this is not out of my wheelhouse. It's a genuine interest to me to at least see that disgusting underbelly of the world. And because I see it, I genuinely like to help and tell people to think critically about what they see. Look, what's in this 50-page book is not some crazy bombshell right off the bat, okay? It's just, again, another piece of this ever-evolving story. But what's crazy about it is something that a month ago was considered to be just fake news, a lie, now appears to be not so much fake news. And in fact, looking deeper into this, there's even more of a, there's more of a view on the troubled psyche of a guy like Epstein to have some of the craziest shit in his 50th birthday. So usually people on their 50th birthday will reflect on reaching, like a significant milestone in their life. But this version of reflecting is oftentimes more creepy. And I've read through the 200 plus pages of this documentation. And there were parts where, you know, again, what I showed you was stuff that personally stuck out to me. But there's a lot more in this that, you know, when you look at the context of everything that has happened, it all starts to kind of make sense. And look, I'm not saying that, you know, every single person that is like inside this book was the best friend of somebody like Epstein. But to me, when I see the story change so much, all I can do is question reasonably, okay? Simple as that. That's all anybody can do. You know, a lot of people can gaslight me into being like Alex Jones and like trying to fucking, you know, trying to be deranged about something, but I don't really feel deranged. And I think more and more people, the more and more they look into it, because the information's all out there. I've shown you, you can go to the House Oversight Committee, you can read this documentation for yourself. Everything I've shown you is fresh from the Oversight Committee, okay? So you can verify all of this stuff for yourself. But in verification of it, I really hope that, you know, some people start to question their government a little bit more. If this was any other government that wasn't the United States, people would probably never have the chance to talk about it. But you guys live in a country where the freedom of speech is paramount. And you have the freedom to criticize your leaders and hold them accountable. And I think realistically, you should hold everyone, whether they be a loony leftist or a fucking, you know, a rambunctious rightoid. You should be fucking putting everyone accountable for it, okay? The people that lead you should be people that don't have any connection to sick fucks like this, in the slightest. But we don't live in that world, so at least try to keep it accountable. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, this is me, Mutahar, and if you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Just like if you dislike it, I am out.